call someone at 2:47 a.m. It's late.
The phone rang at 2:47 a.m., jolting me awake from the couch, where I'd collapsed, still wearing my grease-stained delivery uniform. I grabbed it without thinking, my voice hoarse from exhaustion. Yeah? The package needs to be delivered, a man's voice said in heavily accented English. Cold, emotionless. Kim Jae-sung, 1847, Riverside Industrial Complex. Friday midnight, $50,000. Half now, half after delivery. My brain struggled to process through the fog of sleep. Wait, what? I think you have the wrong number. I deliver Chinese food, not... The money is already in your account. Do not disappoint us. The line went dead. I sat there, heart pounding, staring at my phone screen. This had to be some kind of prank. Maybe the guys from the restaurant messing with me. But something in that voice made my skin crawl. I opened my banking app, expecting to see the usual $73.16, $25,000. The phone slipped from my hands. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive deeper into this absolutely insane story, I need you to do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like, because this story is wild from start to finish. It's about identity, deception, and what happens when love crashes into loyalty in the most dangerous way possible. If you're new here, subscribe, drop a like, and comment below where you're watching from. Trust me, you don't want to miss how this ends. Now let's get back to Sierra's story. My real name is Sierra Matthews, and that delivery girl uniform, that was my cover. For 8 months, I'd been working for the CIA, embedded deep in Los Angeles' Koreatown, tracking a weapons smuggling operation that was arming cartels across 3 continents. The late-night delivery job was perfect. Nobody notices the tired black girl bringing them orange chicken at midnight. I could move through the city invisible, gathering intelligence, photographing license plates, documenting shipments. But this phone call wasn't part of the plan. I grabbed my secured laptop and ran a trace on the number. It came back to a burner phone, registered to a shell company that my team had flagged 6 times in the past 4 months. They were connected to Kang Tae-won, one of the most ruthless crime lords operating on the West Coast. My hands started shaking. Then I noticed something. My burner number ended in 7823. I pulled up our intelligence files and found their actual hitman's number. It ended in 7833. They'd misdialed. By 1 single digit, they'd hired a CIA agent to commit murder. I should have reported it immediately, or called my handler, Agent Morrison, and let the Bureau handle it. But I sat there in my tiny apartment, looking at that $25,000, and I saw something else, an opportunity, a way inside an organization we'd been trying to penetrate for years. I made a decision that would change everything. 3 days later, I stood outside the Riverside Industrial Complex, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. I ditched the delivery uniform for all black clothing and boots. My hair was pulled back tight. I'd told Morrison I was following a lead on a new supplier. I hadn't mentioned the part where I was pretending to be a contract killer. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark except for a single light above a side entrance. I checked my concealed weapon, took 3 deep breaths, and walked forward. 2 men emerged from the shadows before I reached the door. Both Korean, built like professional fighters, and armed. "Who are you?" the taller one demanded in Korean. "The person you called," I replied in English, keeping my voice steady and cold. They exchanged confused glances. The shorter one pulled out his phone, speaking rapidly in Korean. I caught enough to understand the problem. They were expecting someone else, a male, and definitely not a black woman in delivery uniform most nights. "There's been a mistake," the tall one said. "You should leave." "No mistake," I said. "You called me. You paid me. I'm here to do the job." "This is ridiculous. We hired Jin Ho, not some girl who..." The warehouse door opened and the temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. Kang Tae-won stepped into the light. I'd seen photos in our intelligence files, but they hadn't captured the reality of him. Early 30s, devastatingly handsome in that dangerous way that should come with warning labels. Sharp suit that probably cost more than my car. But it was his eyes that made my breath catch. Dark, calculating, absolutely merciless. These were eyes that had seen death and caused it without flinching. He looked me up and down, his expression unreadable. "Who is this?" he asked in English, his voice smooth as silk over steel. "She claims to be the contractor," the tall guard said. "But obviously there's been a mistake. We'll send her away and contact Jin-ho directly." "I am your contractor," I said, meeting Tae-won's eyes directly. "You called my number, paid my account, and I'm here to complete the delivery." "You're telling me," he said slowly, "that you're a professional in the game. I'm telling you I'm the person you hired to solve your Kim Jae-sung problem." The guards tensed, hands moving toward weapons. I'd just confirmed I knew details I shouldn't, but Tae-won held up one hand, stopping them. "Interesting," he said. "Very interesting. Tell me, what experience does a delivery girl have with this kind of work? The kind of experience that keeps me alive and my clients satisfied." Bold words. He circled me slowly, predator assessing prey. "But words are cheap. Actions are what matter in my world." He snapped his fingers. 3 more men emerged from the warehouse, all armed with handguns. "Here's what's going to happen," Tae-won said. "These 3 men are going to try to endle you. Well, not actually ending you, but they're going to try their best. To subdue you, you have 60 seconds to disarm all 3. If you succeed, we'll talk about your contract. If you fail, my men will escort you out and we'll forget this conversation ever happened. Understood?" This was insane. I had maybe 2 seconds to decide if I was really doing this. 2 seconds to cross a line I could never uncross. "Understood," I said. "Begin." The first man rushed me before the word fully left Tae-won's mouth. Classic mistake, leading with aggression instead of strategy. I sidestepped, used his momentum against him, and had his gun in my hand within 3 seconds. Didn't shoot, just ejected the magazine and tossed both pieces in opposite directions. The second and third came together, coordinated and smarter. But I'd trained at Quantico with instructors who'd seen real combat. I dropped low, swept the second man's legs, caught his weapon as he fell. Used him as a shield when the third fired. The bullet hit the warehouse wall. I rolled, came up behind the third man, and had him in a chokehold before he could turn. 42 seconds, I said, releasing him as he tapped out. The warehouse was silent except for heavy breathing. The 3 men looked at each other in shock. The guards' expressions had transformed from dismissive to wary. Tae-won's face remained impassive, but I saw something change in his eyes. Respect, interest, and something more dangerous. "Well," he said softly, "perhaps Jin-ho's mistake was my good fortune." He gestured toward the warehouse. "Come inside, miss." "Sierra. Sierra. Just Sierra. Just Sierra." He smiled, and it was the kind of smile that probably made people confess to crimes they didn't commit. "Very well, just Sierra. Let's discuss business." The inside of the warehouse had been converted into something between an office and a fortress. Expensive furniture mixed with security monitors showing every angle of the surrounding blocks. Maps covered one wall, marked with locations I recognized from my intelligence briefings. This was bigger than we'd thought. Tae-won poured 2 glasses of whiskey and handed me one. "To unexpected partnerships," he said. I took the glass, but didn't drink. "Tell me about the target." His expression hardened. "Kim Jae-sung was my partner. My brother, not by blood, but by choice. We built this organization together from nothing. 5 years ago, he was the only person I trusted in this world. What changed? He betrayed me, stole $17 million, and disappeared. But the money. He paused. The money I could forgive. What I can't forgive is that his betrayal led to my sister's death. The raw emotion in his voice caught me off guard. In our intelligence files, Kang Tae-won was a ruthless criminal. But right now, he was just a man carrying unbearable grief. Your sister? Me, son. She was 19, studying medicine, and wanted to save lives. His hand tightened around his glass. When Jae-sung disappeared with the money, he left, me exposed to our rivals. They took her to get to me, by the time I found her. He didn't finish, and he didn't need to. I'm sorry, I said, and meant it. He looked at me sharply. Assassins don't usually express sympathy. Maybe I'm not the usual kind. No, he agreed. You're definitely not. Over the next 2 weeks, I became part of Tae-won's inner circle. I attended meetings, learned the structure of his organization, gathered enough intelligence to bring down the entire operation. I reported everything to Morrison through encrypted messages, feeding him locations, names, shipment schedules. But something else was happening, and it was something I hadn't anticipated. Tae-won and I started spending time together outside of business, late nights in his penthouse office, talking over strategy and whiskey. He told me about growing up in Seoul, later going to America with nothing. He told me about building an empire from desperation and determination. I found myself sharing things too, carefully edited truths about growing up in Detroit, losing my father, and my desire to make a difference in the world. Why this life? I asked him one night. You're brilliant and could have done anything. I did do anything, he said. This. I chose this because in the legitimate world, people like me are invisible. We work 3 jobs and still can't pay rent. We follow the rules and watch others prosper by breaking them. I decided to write my own rules, even if it hurts people. I don't deal in drugs. I don't traffic humans. I move products that governments hypocritically declare illegal while they use them themselves. The world isn't black and white, Sierra. It's all gray. And murder? I asked quietly. Where does that fall? His eyes met mine. Justice. What I'm asking you to do isn't murder. It's justice for Misun. The way he said his sister's name made my chest ache. Tell me about her, I said. And he did. For 2 hours, he told me stories about his little sister, how she used to force him to watch terrible rom-coms, how she'd bring him food when he was building the business, worried he wasn't eating enough, how her laugh could light up the darkest room, how she'd begged him to leave the criminal life, promised she'd help him find another way. I should have listened, he said finally, his voice breaking just slightly. She passed away because I was too proud, stubborn, and I thought I was untouchable. Without thinking, I reached across and took his hand. He looked down at our joined hands, then back at my face. Something passed between us in that moment, something electric and terrifying and absolutely forbidden. Sierra, he said softly. Who are you really? My heart stopped. What do you mean? You're the best fighter I've ever seen. You speak 3 languages. You understand criminal networks and international finance. But you don't carry yourself like a killer. You carry yourself like someone who spent their life protecting people, not hurting them. I should have deflected and lied. But looking into his eyes, I found myself saying, maybe I'm both. Maybe, he agreed. Or maybe you're something else entirely. He leaned closer. I should have pulled away. Every bit of my training screamed at me to maintain distance, to stay professional. But I didn't move. His lips were an inch from mine when his phone rang. He closed his eyes, exhaled slowly, then answered. The conversation was Korean. When he hung up, his expression had shifted back to business. We found him, he said. Jae-sung. He's in San Francisco, meeting with potential buyers for weapons he stole from us. We leave tomorrow night. This was it. the moment I'd been working toward. I excused myself and immediately contacted Morrison. "This is our chance," I told him. "Everyone will be there. We can take down the entire network in one move." "Negative," Morrison said. "You're too deep. We're pulling you out." "What? No, we're so close." "Agent Matthews, you're compromised. I've been reading your reports. The way you write about Kang suggests emotional involvement." "That's ridiculous. I'm maintaining my cover." "Then explain why you haven't given us his current location. You've had 3 separate opportunities to feed us information that would let us arrest him, and you've avoided it every time." He was right. I'd been unconsciously protecting Tae-won, feeding intelligence about everyone except him. "I need to see this through," I said. "You have 24 hours to extract. That's an order." He disconnected. I sat in my apartment, head in my hands. I'd crossed so many lines I couldn't even see where I'd started anymore. But the thought of betraying Tae-won made me physically ill. The thought of him spending life in prison for crimes that stemmed from grief and survival instinct felt wrong in ways I couldn't articulate. I was falling for him. Maybe had already fallen. The next night, I met Tae-won at a private airfield. We boarded a small jet with 6 of his top men. During the flight, he sat beside me, reviewing plans. "After this is done," he said quietly, "I want to talk about something." "What?" "The future. My future. Mi-sun wanted me to leave this life. Maybe it's time I honored that wish." "You'd really walk away?" "For the right reason, yes." He looked at me intently. "Would you stay if I did?" Before I could answer, we landed. The meeting was set at an abandoned shipyard south of San Francisco. Jae-sung had chosen well, isolated and defensible. But what he didn't know was that I'd coordinated with Morrison for a final operation. Against orders, I'd convinced him that we could take everyone at once. What I didn't know was that Morrison had his own plans. We approached the shipyard, Tae-won and his men armed and ready. I saw Jae-sung in the center of the yard, surrounded by armed guards. But something felt wrong. Too many vehicles and people. "Tae-won," I said urgently. "Something's off. We should..." Floodlights blazed to life, blinding us. Dozens of agents poured from every direction, weapons raised. "FBI, drop your weapons." But the voice that came over the loudspeaker made my blood freeze. "Special Agent Sierra Matthews, step away from the suspects." Morrison, but he'd used my full name, my real identity, broadcasting it for everyone to hear. I felt Tae-won turn toward me slowly. The look on his face destroyed something inside me. "Agent," he said softly, "you're FBI." "CIA, actually," Morrison's voice continued over the speaker. "She's been undercover this whole time, Kang. Every word, every moment, every touch was a lie to get close to you." "No," I said desperately, turning to Tae-won. "Yes, I'm CIA." But his expression had gone completely cold. The warmth, the trust, everything I'd seen grow between us vanished like it had never existed. "Was any of it real?" he asked. "Tae-won, please listen." His men raised their weapons toward me. We were surrounded by federal agents on one side, Jae-sung's men on another, and Tae-won's crew treating me like the enemy I technically was. Then Jae-sung started laughing. "This is perfect," he said. "Absolutely perfect. Tae-won, you arrogant fool. Did you really think I stole from you? That I betrayed you? You took $17 million and disappeared." "I was framed," Jae-sung shouted. "By him." He pointed directly at one of Tae-won's most trusted men, a guy named Park, who'd been with him for years. "Park worked with this corrupt CIA agent to frame me, steal the money, and take over your organization while you wasted time hunting me. They killed Mi-sun to emotionally destroy you, to make you reckless." "He's lying," Park said calmly. "Am I?" Jae-sung pulled out a phone, played an audio recording. Park's voice, clear as day. coordinating Mi-sun's kidnapping with someone whose voice I recognized with horror. Morrison. Everything clicked into place. Morrison had been too interested in this case, too insistent on certain approaches. He wasn't trying to take down the organization. He was trying to take it over. You see, Kang, Morrison's voice came over the speaker again. Your empire is about to become mine. Park here will take over operations. Your men will work for me or die. And you and your little girlfriend will spend the rest of your lives in federal prison, if you're lucky. Tae-won's men were confused now, looking between Park and their boss. Jae-sung's crew was ready for war. The federal agents were following Morrison's orders, but some looked uncertain. And I was standing in the middle, the person everyone had reason to hate. Tae-won, I said urgently. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I swear on everything, what grew between us was real. I started this as a mission, but it became something else, something true. He looked at me, and I saw the battle raging behind his eyes. Prove it, he said. I turned toward the federal agents and did the most insane thing I'd ever done. I raised my weapon toward them. Agent Matthews, stand down, an agent yelled. Morrison is corrupt, I shouted. He's working with Park to take over this organization. He ended Mi-sun. He's not here to enforce the law. He's here to break it. She's lying. Morrison's voice was sharp and worried. She's been compromised. Agents, take her down along with the others. But several agents hesitated. They knew me. They'd worked with me, and something in my voice made them question. Park made his move then, pulling his weapon on Tae-won. But Tae-won was faster, disarming him in seconds. Chaos erupted. Morrison's team opened fire. Jae-sung's men returned it. Tae-won's crew scattered, trying to figure out who to fight. And Tae-won and I ended up back to back, fighting side by side like we'd been born to it. Left, I shouted, and he dropped the shooter coming from that angle. Behind, he called, and I took out Park as he tried to escape. We moved together like water, covering each other, anticipating each other's moves. In the middle of absolute mayhem, we were perfectly synchronized. I saw Morrison trying to slip away in the confusion. I broke away from Tae-won, chasing him through shipping containers. He turned, weapon raised, but I was faster. I shot the gun from his hand. It's over, I said. He laughed bitterly. Is it? You just committed treason, Matthews. You turned on your own agency. You chose a criminal over your country. I chose justice over corruption, I said. There's a difference. Sirens wailed in the distance. Real law enforcement, called by the agents who'd realized something was wrong. Morrison's face twisted with rage, but he knew he was finished. By the time backup arrived, the shipyard was secure. Morrison and Park were in custody. Jae-sung had surrendered peacefully once the truth came out. Tae-won's men had stood down when he ordered them to. But Tae-won himself was in federal custody, facing charges for years of criminal activity. And I was facing charges for treason, assault on federal officers, and about 15 other violations. They let me see him once, through security glass, before my arraignment. I'm sorry, I said, for lying at the beginning and not telling you the truth sooner. You saved my life, he replied. You sacrificed everything for me. How can I be angry about the deception when the truth was so much more beautiful? Tears streamed down my face. They're going to put you away for life, both of us. Perhaps we'll get neighboring cells, he said with a sad smile. I can learn to enjoy your company through bars. That's not funny. No, he agreed. It's not. He placed his hand against the glass. I matched it with mine, separated by inches that felt like miles. I love you, he said. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you disarmed my men with that fierce look in your eyes. Maybe when you held my hand, while I talked about Mi-sun. Maybe when you turned your weapon on your own people to protect me. But I love you, Sierra Matthews. Whatever happens, I need you to know that. I love you too, I whispered. Then the guards came and took him away. My trial was fast and brutal. The evidence against me was overwhelming. I'd violated every protocol, betrayed my agency, compromised an operation. The fact that I'd exposed Morrison's corruption was considered mitigating, but not enough. The prosecution wanted to make an example of me. 20 years in federal prison. Tae-won got life without parole. 3 counts of murder, weapons trafficking, money laundering. The justice system showed no mercy. I was transferred to a federal facility in Arizona. The first few months were hell, but I was alive and somewhere across the country. So was Tae-won. I held on to that like a lifeline. 6 months into my sentence, a new prisoner arrived. She was assigned to my cell block, a tough-looking woman with cold eyes and extensive tattoos. We didn't speak much at first. Then one night, she woke me up with a hand over my mouth. "Don't scream," she whispered. "I'm here to get you out." What? Tae-won hired me. Well, Jae-sung hired me on Tae-won's behalf. The charges against Jae-sung were dropped once Morrison's corruption came out. He's running things now, cleaning up the organization, and his first order of business was extracting you. That's impossible. The security here is about to experience a total system failure in exactly 4 minutes. When the alarms sound, follow me. We have one shot at this. She was right. 4 minutes later, every electronic system in the prison shut down. Chaos erupted, and in the chaos, she led me through a path that seemed impossible. Through corridors she shouldn't have known, past guards who were mysteriously absent, to a service tunnel that brought us outside the walls. A car was waiting, and in the back seat, wearing civilian clothes and a cautious smile, was Tae-won. I climbed in, barely believing it was real. The car sped away as alarms wailed behind us. "How?" I asked. "Jae-sung called in every favor we've accumulated over 15 years, Tae-won said. "Cost almost everything we had, but you were worth it. You've always been worth it. They'll hunt us forever. We can never stop running." "I know," he said, taking my hand. "But we'll be running together. This is insane." "Yes," he agreed, "completely insane." He pulled me close, and I buried my face in his chest, breathing him in, barely able to process that this was real. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Somewhere they'll never find us. Jae-sung has connections in South America, a place where people go when they need to disappear. New identities, new life, new everything." "And what will we do there?" "Whatever we want," he said. "Misun wanted me to leave this life. Now I have. Maybe I'll open a restaurant. You always said I made good coffee." I laughed through tears. "You make terrible coffee." "Then you'll have to teach me." The car drove through the night, carrying us toward a future that should have been impossible. We'd burned every bridge, broken every law, betrayed every loyalty except the one that mattered most: the loyalty to each other. 6 months ago, I was a CIA agent with a clear moral compass and an unshakable dedication to justice. Now I was a fugitive, a traitor, running into the night with the criminal I was supposed to bring down. I should have felt guilty, should have felt wrong about every choice I'd made. But wrapped in Tae-won's arms, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson, I felt something else entirely. I felt free. "Guess I really did become the assassin they hired after all," I said softly. Tae-won kissed the top of my head. "No, my love. You became something far more dangerous." "What's that?" "Someone who taught a killer to love again. Someone who made a monster remember he was human. Someone who looked at a life of crime and found redemption anyway." He tilted my face up to meet his eyes. "You became my salvation, Sierra. And I'll spend every day of our impossible life making sure you never regret choosing me." The car crossed the border as dawn broke. Behind us, our old lives burned to ash. Ahead of us lay uncertainty, danger, and a future built on choices that defied every rule. But we'd face it together, The undercover agent and the crime lord. The girl who delivered Chinese food and the boy who built an empire. Two people who should never have met, never should have fallen in love, never should have survived. Two people who rewrote their entire story anyway. And honestly, I wouldn't change a single impossible, illegal, absolutely insane moment of it. Because sometimes the right choice and the legal choice aren't the same thing. Sometimes justice wears a criminal's face, and sometimes love is worth burning the whole world down for. We drove into our new life as the sun rose, two fugitives with nothing but each other and everything that truly mattered. And somewhere behind us, I swear, I heard Mi-sun's laughter on the wind, finally approving of her brother's choice, finally at peace. So that's Sierra and Tae-won's story, a tale of deception that turned into devotion, of duty that transformed into love, and of two people who chose each other over everything the world told them was right. Some of you might think Sierra made the wrong choice, that she betrayed everything she stood for. Others might say love is worth any sacrifice. The truth is, life isn't always black and white. Sometimes it's messy, complicated, and the hardest choices are the ones that cost us everything. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe, because I bring you emotional stories like this every single week. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have made the same choice Sierra did? Would you risk everything for love? Or would you choose duty over your heart? Share this video with someone who loves intense emotional stories. And remember, sometimes the most beautiful love stories are the ones that were never supposed to happen. Until next time, stay blessed, stay loved, and remember that your story matters. Peace.